Well, there's no sugarcoating this fact, and you might not want so much sugar after this. Nearly 1 in 4 boys in China are now obese, according to a groundbreaking new study out in the Lancet. In fact, China is now the world's #2 for obesity rates, after, of course, you guessed it, the United States. I'm Ramy Inocencio for Asia Today. Joining me from Melbourne is Rob Moodie, professor of public health from the University of Melbourne, to talk about this groundbreaking study. Now, Rob, what are the biggest startling numbers out of this study?
Well, I guess the fact that there are, literally 300 million people are overweight and obese across the globe. The fact that, this is now a major problem, not just for developed, wealthy countries. It's now a major problem in many developing lower and middle income countries, whether it's the Pacific or the Middle East or the Caribbean.
Right. Now, you mentioned that 300 million person mark, and that is just in China. And if you equate it to the population of the United States, it's actually just about the same, isn't it? Another number out there, 46 million obese Chinese adults. Now, this has just happened in the past, several years, maybe a decade or so. What's changed in the country?
Yeah, well, we've been looking at, and the study looks at it from 1980 to 2013. I mean, profound changes in how much we actually take in, caloric intake, but profound changes in the composition of the diets. And that's been pretty much accompanied at the same time with decreased physical exercise. But a huge rise in processed foods, in the amount of actual sugar and fat in our food. So that's that's the level of energy, because now we have the capacity to pack so many calories into our food.
Right. Now, let's get into specific kinds of foods here. What are some of the biggest culprits that you see?
Sure. Well, I mean, in so many of these countries, what we're doing is getting our energy intake from non-core foods. In other words, foods we actually don't need to have. Whether that's sodas, for example, whether that's processed food with very high levels of sugar and of fat, whether that's in fast food restaurants as well. So you've got a combination of these all happening at the same time.
In China, I'm curious, do you think the government is aware of this, or whether there's even some kind of regulations that might be considering to try to get people back away from the brink of being obese or overweight?
We have pretty good idea what to do. There's certainly no doubt about that we need to change our food environments, that we need to reduce the amount of advertising to our children in particular. We need to reduce the amount of salt and fat and sugar in our foods, to label the food correctly. Unfortunately, many governments aren't taking this seriously. I imagine the Chinese government really hasn't come to terms with this. The US government hasn't, the Australian government hasn't.
Everyone seems to have a guilty pleasure. Do you have anything that you like? I'll tell you mine.
Oh, look, I like lots of stuff. I like sugar. I like muffins. I like chocolate. The question is, how can we develop our own environment? I'm constantly not being tempted to have it and reminded that I should have it. It's actually hard for individuals to lose weight. We put it on collectively. We actually need to take it off collectively.
Right, and although sugary foods are definitely very tasty, my guilty pleasure is, I'll admit, Cheetos. So on that, Rob, I will let you go, but this is definitely something to think about for all of us, regardless of where we are in China, the United States, anywhere. For more on this, head to thewallstreetjournal.com. I'm Ramy Inocencio in Hong Kong.